Haunted house. Two teenage boys stand at the edge of the local cemetery. One dressed in dark clothing, the other in green overalls. The green one wears a beige shirt underneath, rainbow-themed flowers at the knees as a design on his pants, planting gloves, a rainbow bandana, a band-aid on the bridge of his nose, and a wooden bat in his hands. The other boy wears a black hoodie and black baggy pants along with glasses and a snakebite piercing. Thudding footsteps alarm the two as they turn to look. The black-dressed boy falling as another boy tackles him, seeming out of breath. Crescent moon necklace glimmering in the sunlight as it hangs from his neck. "What are you doing?" The boy who tackled the other shouts. "Me and Bandy were just going to explore the house." The tackled boy responds. "And you didn't think to tell me where you were going?" "I had to ask your younger brother where you were." "Hey, where's Lulu?" "Oh, just exploring a house with an alleged dead body inside." The boy that tackled Lulu mocks as he gets off of Lulu. "Me and Bandy will be fine, Mars." Lulu playfully dragged his words as he chuckles and Mars snickers tiredly. "You guys aren't seriously considering going inside a potential dead person's home, are you?" Mars asks as he crosses his arms and eyes Bandy's movements to put on the black backpack. "Don't worry. I don't get scared easily. I will punch the monster and bash his head in with my bat," Bandy started before Mars sighs and turns to Lulu. Lulu points at Bandy with his thumb continuously in a subtle manner as Mars couldn't help but cock a smile. "Charge!" Bandy shouts as he runs past the gravel road that separates the graveyard from the two-story house. "Bandy! Get back here," Mars calls out before witnessing Lulu quickly following behind Bandy, also shouting enthusiastically in the corner in his eyes. "Lulu! Oh my! Why are we doing this?" Mars shouts as he runs over. Bandy was already climbing the black gates using a rope from the backpack once he reached the top to tie it and throw it down to Lulu and Mars. One of Bandy's friends dared him to come over here since he was hard to scare for $20 and I'm bored. Lulu shrugged as he waited for the rope. "Of course that's the reason." Mars sighs. "Well, there's no way there can be a dead body. And I'm not letting my boyfriend potentially die from a squatter. No offense, Bandy. I'm sure you would kill the squatter before he could even glance at Lulu." Mars said as Lulu laughed. Bandy tossed the rope finally as he hops onto the squishy soil past the gate. "You first," Mars says as he passes the end of the rope to Lulu. "Thank you." Lulu grabbed the rope and started to climb up as Mars followed swiftly behind. Mars jumped off of the gate first by pushing himself off the black metal gate and landing on his back in the soft soil. His black shirt covered in dirt on the back from the fall. He got up and outstretched his arms for Lulu. "I got cha." Mars laughed as Lulu chuckled and shook his head. "Just using the rope to slowly slide down." "No, I'm okay," Lulu said in a jokey tone. "Fine, don't trust me then." "Damn," Mars said playfully as he crossed his arms and sticks out his tongue. Lulu laughs and follows Bandy, who was already trying to push the wooden double doors open. "Holy rich IE." Mars jokes as he takes in the size of the house before him. The bottom of the house was made of gray moldy stone. A few bottom gates visible and a wooden stairway that was creaky and slightly broken lead to the big front doors with golden handles. The sides of the house have windows that weren't broken but covered by a curtain from the inside for the left window and the back of the couches for the right. The upstairs had a thinner top above the first floor door entrance that had a window covered in newspapers. The other side of the upstairs had a clear view into the right room that seemed to be a master's bedroom, and the other window on the left had dino stickers and fish stickers on it that peeked into what seemed to be a children's room. The house is made of wood with the only metal being the shed in the back. Mars climbs up the stairs as he pushes Bandy aside, who was about to charge at the door. Reaching into his black cargo pants and pulling out a lock-picking tool. Grabbing the knob as he successfully opens the doors. The door creaked loudly as the inside was surprisingly clean. The inside was a dark oak brown. The highlights being the beige-colored railing that lines the staircases that were built against the left and right side of the wall, leading up to the upstairs that was openly looking down at the entrance. A red rug stretching from the front door down the space between the staircases and splitting into two different directions, left and right. The rug also had an outline of yellow at its sides. Drawers topped with flowers and a few paintings against the wall at the side of the front door. Looking up you see a chandelier that was off due to the place being abandoned. Lulu reaches for the light switch as Mars chuckles. You really think the power would work for a Mars starts before stopping himself at the sudden chandelier light that was heavily bright. Well, I'll be damned. Mars says playfully as Lulu bursts out laughing. Yeah man. Trust. Lulu says. Mars closes the door as Lulu follows Bandy before catching up to them both. I don't know why my friend said that this would scare me. I never get scared. I am an almighty god. Bandy said, swinging his arms up before returning them back down and looking through the drawers. Sure, buddy. Lulu said as he glanced around all the paintings that hung on the wall. I don't know, Bandy. Maybe for once you'll finally get scared. What if that monster from your abnormal experience is in here? Mars cackled as he saw Bandy turn to him. My what? Bandy asked. You know when you apparently fought and killed the monsters for 2 days straight before coming back when in reality you were just sitting with me and Lulu for 30 minutes? Mars explained as Lulu chuckled. Oh. Oh hell no. Bandy said as all of them laughed. Which way first, Bandy? Mars asked sarcastically before noticing Lulu walking towards the right. Yeah. That way. Bandy responded as he and Mars followed Lulu. Oh. Horsey. Bandy hummed as he approached the end of the hallway and sat on a rock and back horse. In the corner there were a bunch of kids' toys. Blocks, teddy bears and plastic kitchen supplies. Lulu bent down and picked up a plastic knife. Smirking as he faced Mars. Looks like the living room. Mars shrugged as he approached the pure white couches. Looking at the TV as he marveled at the wire system. Yeah. Think you can fix the TV? I mean that is a you thing. Lulu joked as Mars turned to look at him with a tired expression. Just because I know how to program using coding blocks and in a robotics club does not mean I know everything technological. Mars said playfully as Lulu burst out in giggles. Bringing the knife to his mouth before Bandy finally came over and noticed the plastic knife. A knife. For me. Thank you. Bandy said in a high pitch as he took the knife and Mars chuckled approaching the kid's corner. Die. Bandy said in a gravely voice as he nudged Lulu with the knife. I. Lulu swatted Bandy and Bandy backed up. Wah. Bandy mocked the pitch of a crying baby. What is going on? Mars asked as he was chuckling and turning to look at them before something caught his eye. I don't know. Lulu chuckled as he approached Mars. Is that a whole entire pool table? I'm telling you bro, these people were rich. Mars laughed as he approached the opposite side of the hall where a pool table was visible. The room has a dark oak wall trim and dark green wallpaper. While entering the room Mars freezes. Ah guys. Did someone spill tomato sauce? What? Bandy squeaked as he began to come to what I was looking at. Oh, blood. Yeah, it's just tomato sauce. Totally. Lulu said as Mars chuckles. It's probably just spilled wine. Hopefully. Mars says as he sighs and approaches the bar stand to the left that was still filled with alcoholic beverages. Grabbing the whiskey and popping it open as he takes a soft whiff. Scrunching up his nose in mass disgust. Alcohol. Lulu said as he ran over and snatched a beer. Mars quickly knocked the beer right before it could touch Lulu's lips. No. Lulu. That has been sitting here for years. Mars firmly scolds as Lulu looks at the floor. My beer. Lulu says as he looks up at Mars. No beer. Mars reaffirms as Lulu chuckled. Fine. Lulu stated before Bandy came over and picked up a heavily sealed wine bottle and brought it in front of his mouth mocking slurping sounds before pulling it back. Yummy. Bandy said as Mars shakes his head and walks back over to the blood spot on the ground and wall. Kneeling down as he noticed a wasted bullet. Someone was shot here. Mars says coldly. Bandy coming over. Oh yeah. There's a used bullet right there. Bandy said as he was about to pick it up before Mars swatted his hand. Don't touch it. What if the police trace the DNA on it? It's gonna lead back to you, idiot. Mars explained as he got up and dusted off his knees. Turning to look at Lulu, who was fidgeting with the back door at the back wall of the room. Hard to open. Need me to lockpick it? Mars suggested as Lulu shook his head and swung the door open. No, Lulu walked outside of the door that led to the backyard of the house. Weeds outgrown, it basically looked like a miniature jungle. This place is like a fucking jungle. God damn. Mars mocked as he chuckled. Yeah. Bandy agreed. So what did your friends mean by a dead person at this house, exactly? Mars asked as they all walked through the field of grass to a metal shed. I was at lunch and my friends told me about how I can't get scared and told me that I should come here because there's a girl who died underneath the house and possesses the house or something. They told me that if I could take a picture of the basement that they would pay me $20, Bandy explained as Mars opened the shed. Well, the blood stain wouldn't make sense to be in the bar place then. Mars says as they all step into the tool shed. Wooden shelves lined the walls filled with random supplies. If she died under the house, why is there a blood stain on the wall? Not to mention, there's a bullet near it too. Maybe she was dug in the ground and died in the bar. Lulu said as Bandy approached a baby rattle with curiosity since it was near an axe. Oh, axe, Bandy hummed as he reached for it, but in his attempt he stumbled and instinctively reached to catch himself. Pulling on the baby rattle as the lights go off and there's a loud thud. Bandy. You okay? Mars asked. Yeah. Mars reached towards the direction of the voice and pulled Bandy up. Imagine falling MNPF. Lulu said as he tripped in the dark and fell. You okay? Mars asked but gained no response. Lulu. Where the fuck is the doors to this place? Mars swings the door open. I squinted as Mars felt a heavy breath on his eye. Mars stumbles back in shock. What the fuck? I'm coming, Lulu, hold on. Mars says as he pushes the door once more and all of a sudden the heated breath was gone and the sunlight peeked through. Mars. Bandy called as Mars holds the door open and glances behind him to the shed. Where did Lulu go? Bandy asks worriedly as he turns to Mars. Mars's eyes flashing with panic as he jolts forward to start patting the floor and looking under certain supplies like a chair. Lulu. Mars called out. After rumbling around for a few seconds, Mars realizes the doors are still open since sunlight was still shining through and turns to see if Bandy was the one holding them. There Bandy was beside Mars, glancing around the room. Mars froze. There by the door a teenage girl covered in water and brown stains along with blood on her hands, and the collar of her matted shirt was visible at the doorway holding the door open. Eyes bloodshot and mouth parted open slightly. Mars eases his pace to be more calm as he avoids turning to her. Reaching for Bandy as he leans in and whispers into his ears. There's a fucking bloody woman behind us. Use your bat and knock her out. Bandy freezes and his hand clenches the bat as he nods and firms his stance before doing an abrupt swing towards the girl, who jumped back quickly. Come here. Bandy shouted as he was about to swing again. The lady, shocked, began to run and Bandy chased after her. Bandy, wait. She might just be another innocent. Wait. Mars realized as he ran after Bandy but stopped abruptly. Looking back at the shed with furrowed brows and a frown. Please be okay, my love. I'll be back, I promise. Mars announced at a low volume before chasing Bandy. Bandy. Mars called as he ran inside and rapidly glanced around for a sign of where he ran off to. Come here, you bitch. Bandy shouted in that gravely voice again. There he is. Mars huffed as he ran after Bandy's voice, which led upstairs. The wooden stairs creaked under Mars's fast-paced steps. Paintings lining up more walls. The once open view into the entrance, replaced with a floor. Mars rushes onto the floor to follow Bandy into the room at the end of the hall before the door slammed shut in front of Mars's face. Mars tried to open the door and succeeded before being greeted with no one in the room. Puzzled, he looked around and noticed the window covered in newspapers and swung the window open. Bandy. Mars's POV. I looked around for a sign of Bandy on the roof and closed the window when I heard nothing. Bandy. I called out. This time it was more of a defeat call, if any. I looked at the sink and in the tub for a sign of him, but it's as if he vanished into thin air. I pat the walls and floor in hope for something. A bat. Backpack. Nothing. Am I schizo? What's going on? I sigh as I reach for the door. It's jammed. Well, that's just great, I shouted. Frustrated, I start kicking the door with all my pent-up anger before I notice the sound of running water. I glanced behind me and all of a sudden the water was running for the sink. I walked over and investigated with my eyes. The water was starting to overfill from the sink. The tub is also starting to run with water now. What the fuck? I headed over to turn off the faucet, but the faucet was already turned off. Still spilling water. Soon the tub was filled with water and the water was racing my ankles. I looked around and at the door. The door was no longer there. Well, shit, I said as I kicked the sink. Water bursting as I grab a piece of the sink and bang the wall where the door used to be. The hell? I grunt as I try running into the wall. The water was quickly reaching my knees and I turned for the window. I opened the window and crawled out. Stepping onto the roof as I watched the water start to seep out of the window down the roof. I walk around the roof for a sign of Bandy or Lulu. Bandy. Lulu. I call out as I raise my hands to my mouth. After I heard nothing, I decided to jump into a bush in the backyard and head for the house. I'm not leaving you guys here, I grumbled as I entered through the back door and back up the stairs in search of Bandy. Bandy. I walked and noticed how the restroom had now disappeared and it was an open balcony again. Something's definitely going on. Mars. Bandy's voice echoed through the halls. Mainly coming from the master bedroom's direction. In a blooded hurry, I run to the master bedroom and swing the door open. Bandy. Hello. No one was in the room. Just a king-sized bed in the middle and a closet to the side of the entrance. I start to look around for Bandy as I swing open the closet, nothing. Under the bed, nothing. Doubtful but worth a shot. I shrugged as I opened the drawers beneath the closet and found a flashlight. Never know when this will come in handy. I tested the flashlight to see if it worked. It turned on and was really bright. I turn it back off and shove it in my cargo pants. I also found perfume I could use as pepper spray and a bag I could hang over my shoulder to hold the flashlight better and any further supplies I might find later on. While searching, I found a tape labeled Lulu's death. My heart dropped. I grabbed the tape and rushed for the living room, but the sound of Lulu's voice coming from down the hall outside of the entrance to the master bedroom got my attention. Lulu. I called as I ran down the hall. Feeling a wheeze in my chest and my head turning dizzy as I wave out my arms to catch myself. I fall towards the wall. Lulu. I pushed myself off the wall as I realized I was now in front of the children's bedroom. Wait. Wasn't this? I turned to look to my left and sure enough there was the upstairs open balcony again and the master bedroom down the left. I turned behind me. The hall I came running from was now gone. I shook my head and entered the children's bedroom, which had an open-mouthed shark as the entrance. Fancy. In the room there were 2 twin beds on opposite sides of the room, desks in the middle and toys scattered all throughout the floor. I immediately started searching for any signs of an opening. While in search I noticed something move outside of the window and I curiously looked. Water. I tilt my head before shaking it clear from confusion as I went to investigate. Getting close to the window as I notice a lack of neighborhood and the view of just pure sea in front of my eyes. It was as if the house was submerged in the sea. Fish swimming by, kelp swaying side to side. I gagged. I hate the sea. I grunted painfully in complaint as I backed up from the window. While a blue fish swam by, a shark came and swapped it up. My eyes widened, but I relax back down as I remember the truth about how sharks usually just confuse us as food and are easily able to be set on the right path by covering their nose and rotating them in the right direction. As I approach the desks below the window to search for my friends, the same shark heads straight for the window at a high velocity, cracking the window as the lights in the room started flickering. My body tensed with panic as I turned for the exit, but the lights flickered off and the sound of the glass breaking echoed as I gasped for breath. Water surrounded me and I fumble for my flashlight in a last effort to see. Keeping my eyes open was hurtful but manageable. I turned on the flashlight and it surprisingly worked still despite being submerged underwater. I noticed with what I could see that I was in the sea. No furniture, no kids' toys, and I can't seem to find the shark that caused this. My oxygen is running low as panic fills my system and I immediately let my body loose. The only grip I bring is the flashlight as I try to float to the surface before I could run out of oxygen. Looking up I noticed how dark it was. The fish that swam by me scared me to absolute hell and thought it could be the shark. When I thought I was about to see the end of the sea surface I felt something large brush my leg and my eyes snapped open to turn and look. A shark. I froze but then focused. My eyes on the shark as I saw it make a circle back towards me. I held out my hand ready to block the nose as it began to swim to my hastily. I caught the nose and it stopped before I realized a way bigger shark was swimming straight towards us at rapid speed. The mouth opened before I could act and swallowed me whole. I slid down the slick hole and landed on something squishy. The water was filtered out and only leaving me, the smaller shark, and my flashlight left in a dirty pile of very smelly water. I got up and brushed off my knees, coughing out the remaining water. What the actual fuck was that? I lash out as I see the small shark squirm around. I pick up my flashlight from the water and shine it around. Concrete. That's not what a stomach is made out of. I mumbled as I realized I landed on a dead woman's corpse that was face first in the sewer water. Explaining why it was squishy. I get off immediately and turn to look at the small shark that was now a rotten plush stained with dry blood and clothes. What the fuck? I said, shaken up as I tried to help the girl up, but it was obvious she was dead. Ma'am. Wait. You're the girl from the shed. I backed up as I realized the girl was the same blooded woman that Bandy chased. Bandy wouldn't do all this. He wouldn't kill someone. Hurt, yes. But not kill. I shook my head in disbelief as I turned to look around. Swears. Gotta be a manhole here somewhere. I huffed as I walked around. I walked for what seemed like hours before deciding to rest for a minute. My legs aching once I finally sat. However, within 5 minutes a crocodile snapped at me from the swerve stream and I jumped back in fear. What the fuck? I rushed to get away as all of a sudden the sewer stream along the concrete was infested with crocs. The rats got eaten as I ran and ran. I noticed a ladder and rushed for it. Climbing on and climbing quickly as I shoved the flashlight in my mouth to climb faster. Opening the manhole with struggle before finally sliding it off. Crawling out and coughing as I look around. It was the same tall grass from the backyard. I was back in the backyard as I caught my breath. Maybe I should just stay in the backyard with how often I end up back here. I headed for the shed in hope of finding proper weapons. I found an axe and Lulu's sweater. Finally a fucking clue. Not the best, but a sign. I reached for the sweater and while retrieving it, it jammed. I tug on it and the shelf falls forward as I rush out of the way. Sweater still in hand. The shed wall now has a hallway installed into it. Close one. I huff as I drape Lulu's sweater over my bag I still surprisingly had. I grabbed the axe, held the flashlight in the other, and started walking down the dark hallway. It was pure wood. Walls, floors, and now a staircase as the floor ahead was stairs that lead down. Paintings lined the walls as I walked down the stairs. Guess I'm getting my steps in. I walked down and out of boredom I started looking at the paintings. Man, these are never ending, huh? What do you expect from an underwater house that can summon sharks? I kept walking till I noticed a body-sized painting that seemed to repeat with only subtle differences of the room being pink and childlike. A boy knelt beside the bed, back to the camera, shirtless, and seemingly slouched. I noticed that the boy seemed to move with every new painting. Once the boy finally turned around I could clearly see it was Lulu with a paper scribbled with writing in his hand. His expression puzzled and frustrated as he began to pry at a number code on the wall. Lulu. I realized as I pried the painting open and threw it down the rest of the stairs. Behind the painting there was the pink room and Lulu now fully moving instead of painting by painting. Lulu. I rushed and hugged him tight, cupping his cheek as I kiss him on the lips before pulling back. Lulu seemed stunned by my sudden appearance. You're alive. I was so worried. I teared up as Lulu rubbed my soggy back. What's wrong? Of course I'm alive. Why are you soaking wet? Where's Bandy? Lulu started asking as I sniffed and buried my face in his neck. When you disappeared, me and Bandy saw a girl with blood all over her hands, face, and shirt. Bandy chased her and I chased Bandy. I lost Bandy and was left alone in a kid's room that became a sea or some shit. A shark came over and ate me, and then I somehow ended up in the sewers on top of the same girl Bandy was chasing, but she was dead. I looked for a way out of the sewer while getting chased by crocodiles and went into the shed for a weapon. I said as I pulled back and waved the axe slightly as an example. Then I found your sweater. I handed him his sweater and he draped it over his shoulder. While getting it into my grasp, it tugged on the shelf and then the shelf fell and exposed this never-ending descending staircase. I noticed the paintings were of you and pried it open. Found you, thankfully. I'm so glad you're okay. I said as I hugged him once more. He hugs me back as he rubs my back. I hate the sea. I grumble. I know. Lulu chuckles. I just tripped and ended up here. I was trying to figure out the passcode to the number code on the wall trying to get out. Lulu explained. Looks like you had it less dangerous than me. I laugh as he rolls his eyes playfully. Come on. We should probably find Bandy now that we found each other and get the fuck out of here. I said with a playful smile as Lulu stopped smiling and pulled back softly. Concern in his eyes. What if Bandy's trying to kill us? You said Bandy was chasing the girl, then you lost him, and ended up with the girl's corpse. What if Bandy killed that girl and brought us here to try and kill us? Kill me. He told me, not you. You figured it out and just ended up coming along. Maybe that's why you went through all that dangerous stuff compared to me. He wanted me, not you, so he tried to kill you like that girl. Leave me here for God knows what. Lulu said, worried. Bandy. Bandy do all of that. That shit was some voodoo stuff. Yes, Bandy is violent, but he's not the smartest. Even if this was science, how the fuck did I end up in the SEA? I explained playfully, to which Lulu smiled at and shrugged. Come on. Plus, if he is, it's 2 against 1. I guess you're right. Lulu chuckled as he grabbed my hand. Hey, wait. A tape player. I got a tape after losing Bandy in the master bedroom. It was labeled Lulu's death. I said as I gave Lulu my flashlight and pulled out the tape. Now it was labeled Ungrateful Daughter. It changed. I showed Lulu and we sat down at the beanbags surrounding the TV with the tape player. The tape started playing. Showing a family of 5. 2 happy parents, 2 very young children, boy and girl, and a teenage girl, most likely the eldest child. It then flashed to shaky footage that had audio of a girl crying and pointing the camera up to a wooden hatch that was being banged on with a man's voice shouting sternly. Get out. Time for you to go to school. And no bread for you today. The girl got up and wiped her tears as a shaky skinny hand reached for the hatch that swung open briefly. The girl jolted back in fear. We see a glance of the dad's face angry before he walks off. The girl climbs up the ladder and tucks the camera in her bag. Walking out of the shed and into the house. There she sat at the breakfast table with no food served to her. We get a view of the other 2 children eating pizza and the parents eating steak. The girl's hands in her lap. You know what? Since you love this man so much, how about you bring him home for dinner after school? I really don't want to, a small quiet voice spoke from the girl's mouth. Bring him to dinner. The dad slammed his fist against the table. Don't make me repeat myself. Yes, sir. The girl replied. Good. Now go to school before I bring out the belt. Out of my sight. Now, go. The father outcries before we see the girl stand up and rush for the exit of the house. The camera was pulled out of the bag during school. She sat in class doing work, occasionally chatting with classmates. When the bell rang, she got up and was greeted excitedly by a boy dressed in a tie and formal clothing. Roses and chocolates in his hand. The girl gasps and starts giggling softly once the man kisses her cheek softly, giving her the gifts as he grabbed her hand. The girl and the man hanged out all day together, and the man occasionally opened doors for her, held her hand, and treated her decently. By the end of the day the girl was quiet. The camera shook as she sat across from the guy in the final period classroom. The men took the camera and we got to see that the girl was the eldest child from the photo in the beginning. The men held her hand and rubbed his thumb against the back of her hand to soothe her. "What's wrong?" the men asked. "My dad wants you to come to dinner after school today," she responded. "Oh. This could be good. Maybe I can finally help your dad be a little more decent as a father," the guy exclaimed as the girl shook her head. "He was really violent. I don't think he's planning to be kind. He was aggressive," the girl said. "It's gonna be all right. The worst is a few bruises. It'll be fine. Plus, I would rather get hurt temporarily than you be stuck down there as a type of punishment. You're pregnant. I should take care of you. Trust me," the guy said as the girl looked at him sadly. "Come on. Let's go," the guy said before the footage proceeded to show the two making their way back to her house. At the dinner the dad wasted no time. The girl walked into the dining area, the guy's hand in hers. "Ah!" the girl screamed. There, the now bleeding body laid beside her feet. Her lover was shot by her dad without hesitation. The girl dropped down to cry, clenching her lover to her chest tightly. My love," the man gurgled through the blood seeping from his cold lips. The girl cried and sobbed. The man reached a shaky hand to caress her hair. "Guess a few bruises wasn't the worst thing, heh? Don't cry, my love. I love you." The boy let out his last breath. His body grows cold in the girl's arms as his eyes fall shut. The girl just screams in agony before her father grabs her by the hair and starts to drag her outside, tossing her down the hatch in the shed. "Now you stay down there and think about what you did," the father shouted as he closed the hatch. The footage picks up sounds of a shelf being pushed over the hatch. The girl drops her bag as she jumps up to pry at the hatch. The camera tossed on the floor since it was located within the bag. The footage cuts out before glitching to show the girl crawling through dirt to end up in the sewers. Blood follows her and leaks into the dirty stream. She pans the camera down to show her blooded arms and thighs. A baby in her hands that was blooded and barely breathing. The girl rushes to find an exit. But like Mars, she found none. Days go by where she has to feast on rats. One day her baby got sick with a disease gained from the rats and eventually died. The last footage we get is from the camera laying next to a pile of blood on the floor and the girl drowning herself in the stream of water. Her mouth was covered in blood and her hands were red. In the corner you could see the baby's head was taken a bite out of next to the only soft surface the baby had. A shark plushie. The TV breaks and before me or Lulu could process what we just saw we hear Bandy screaming. Whether of victory or defeat we do not know. "Bandy. Come on." I tug on Lulu to which he stands. Hand in hand, we ran. Lulu holding the flashlight, me holding the axe and having his sweater draped over my bag. As we ran the floor began to crumble. Rushing out the stairs we see Bandy at the doorway. Witnessing the stairs fall rapidly behind us in horror. "Hurry!" Bandy shouts. I shove Lulu ahead of me every time I can and realize something. I let go of Lulu's hand. Tying his sweater around the axe head firmly and swinging the axe into the wall as high and close to the exit I could. My foot falls as the floor beneath me crumbles and I reach for the sweater and pull Lulu close. "Hold on to the sweater," I shouted as Lulu does so and I pushed him up with my head. "Bandy." I got it. "Give me your hand." Bandy leans over the hovering exit towards us. "You first, Lulu. Then you can both pull me up." Lulu nodded and used my head as a floor as I pushed him forward and used my upper body to launch him up. Bandy leaping his hand once they were inches away from touching. Grabbing tightly and yanking him up. Lulu fell onto the floor behind Bandy with a loud thud and grunt. Bandy immediately focused on me next but I noticed something. My axe was an inch from unlodging itself from the wall. The weight is too much. I look down and see water fill the deep voided hole. The blooded plush shark floating up to the surface as my ankles get submerged in the water. Mars. Water. Shark. Shark! Bandy yelled as Lulu rushed over, looking at me with terror in his eyes. This woman wants revenge. I'd rather it be me stripped away. Protect yourself, Bandy. I have a feeling she's gonna wanna kill the one that acts like the son in the group because of her own loss. Take care of your father. Run. I explained as I felt the water reach my torso. Mars. If you die, me and Bandy are summoning you back. Lulu screamed with tears in his eyes. To which I softly smiled. My eyes softened with long-pushed exhaustion. Protect Bandy. Live life to the fullest. Please don't forget me. I love you, my Lulu do. I called out as I let my arms slump and body hang. The axe slumping as it creaked and unlatched. The shark swam towards me at a rapid speed as the water was up to my stomach. Mars. No. Come here. Please. Lulu cried before trying to jump down to me, but Bandy pulled him back, looking at him with serious eyes. You can't let him die. Let me go. I'm not. Grab the rope and hold tight, Bandy said as Lulu blinked. There in Bandy's arm was rope that was secured and tied with a perfect knot all the way under one of the home's pillars. This whole time Bandy was tying a knot to try and save my life. Lulu wiped his tears and nodded. Bandy tossed down the rope, the rope sinking into the water. Mars. Grab on. I looked shocked as I quickly reached and Dandy yanked me up high enough to where the shark's lounge for me was worthless. The shark had to do a circle back to get enough speed to do another lounge. Pull. Bandy shouted as Lulu began to quickly tug. I held on for dear life as the shark did jump after jump out of the water to try and eat me. Once I reached the top, I was pulled out and away from the ledge immediately. Lulu holding my face and kissing me repeatedly. MNPF. Okay, hi. Love you too. I chuckle as he looks at me angrily. Don't pull shit like that again. Lulu shouts. Yeah. That was really dumb, Mars. Bandy agrees as I just sit up and rub the back of my neck. Let's get out of here, I said as I stood up and dusted off my knees. The main entrance door becomes blocked by the blooded girl as she looks at us angrily. You. I said as I stared at the girl. I stood in front of Lulu protectively before Lulu yanks me beside him. No sacrifice. Lulu said angrily as I nodded. Charge. Come here, bitch. Bandy shouted as he raised his now broken in half wooden baseball bat up in the air. Spikes poked out from the damaged wood as he slammed it down on the girl. The girl falling forward. Bandy stepped on her back as he knelt down and brought the bat up, the spiky part facing the ground as he struck it down onto the back of the girl's head. Blood gushed onto the bat before the girl's corpse disappeared, the chandelier breaking and trying to fall down onto me and Lulu. I tackle Lulu and pull him close as I roll us quickly out the way. Close one. Still got that flashlight, Lulu? I asked. I think I dropped it, Lulu said as I got up and helped him up, holding his hand tightly. Understatably so. Bandy. I responded as I went to feel around with my shoe for the flashlight, picking it up and turning it on. Yeah. Bandy calls. Just making sure you're still with us. I face the light to the doors and Bandy pushes them open. I grab Lulu's hand as we all step out. The night is dark and the stars bright. Why? We did it. Bandy cheers as me and Lulu chuckle. Let's get out of here. I prefer some nice rest after all that. I sighed as I pulled Lulu close and kissed him, closing my eyes. Oh. They're fucking. Ah, they're fucking. Ah, they're fucking OW. Bandy started teasing before getting hit with the flashlight lightly. Lulu leaning into the kiss before I break it and notice a sound. You hear that? I said as I looked towards the sound. Yeah, I hear it. Sounds like the police. Bandy shrugged. Yeah. Lulu agreed. Shit, they caught us. I said playfully as we all laughed. But our laughs were short-lived. Hands up. The police shout from the intercom of the vehicles. All of us immediately raise our hands. On your knees. Hands behind your back. The cops shouted as we all obliged. We were all handcuffed and pulled up off the ground. Taken to different cars. But to cheer up the mood, I cockily smiled at Lulu. Eyes half-lidded and a smirk on my face as I lower my voice. You look great in handcuffs, Mars. Okay, Lulu. Oh ha ha ha. Bandy.